Are you sure this is going to work, Nebuchadnezzar? Biotin dry mouth. Moisturizing spray?
Sure, why not?
Well, I do have dry mouth. I'll give it a shot, eh? My God. Oh. Minty. Hello, and welcome back to PepPep's World. You know, if you watched my last week's video, you would have heard me say that this week I was going to explain why I have been absent from YouTube for a few weeks, prior to last week, of course. And so, being a man of my word, I decided I am going to share that story with you today. You see, a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with Nebuchadnezzar during our nightly tea, and I said, Nebuchadnezzar, I'm feeling rather worn down lately. I think it's time we take a vacation. What do you think, boy? And he agreed. You know, I've been on the hunt for the Stone Toad of New Jersey, and that expedition really took a lot out of me. So, I needed some downtime. So Nebuchadnezzar and I brought along my crack team of adventurers along with me. We met at a family event, you see. We all decided to take a trip down south to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And we were there for a week. For the first 6 days, it was nothing but sunshine and beauty and beach, surfing and stuff. Mixed drinks, oh, it was wonderful. But on the 6th day, the day prior to our departure, you see, I turned to one of the armed guards at our resort, and I said, what's the need for armed guards here? And he said to me, PepPep, we have a terrible problem here in Puerto Vallarta. There are gorillas that live in the forests around here. And I said, well, what could gorillas possibly do to you? Aren't they fun to play with? And he said, no, these aren't the hairy gorillas, you fool. He said, these gorillas are militiamen, and they terrorize our resort, the small villages around here. And we need to protect our paying public from these terrible men. And I said, oh my, why didn't you tell me? I said, I would have made sure to bring my own weaponry to the beach here with me. And he said, we don't want, Americans running around with weapons on this beach. And don't you know, right at that very moment, a band of gorillas came rushing out of the jungles to our left. And I said, I can hear them, you see, because I couldn't see them because I was in the midst of my 22 hours of permanent blindness for that day. But I could hear them. And they were yelling all kinds of insults and commands. There was, I think, 4 of them. Yes, there was 4 of them. And they rounded everybody up into this big circle. And everybody was frightened, except, of course, except me and my crack team of adventurers. We've been in these, scary situations before. But in this case, we were without protection. So they had us all round up. And the gorillas were threatening us and pretending like they were going to shoot us. turned to the guard and I said, "You have your weapon. Why don't you do something about this, boy?" And he said, "PepPep, I have a family to think of, and I don't want to get all of these people here killed, so I must lay low." And I said, "Well, if you're not going to use your weapon, hermano, hand it to me." And right at that moment, as he was passing the gun to my hand, one of the guerrillas grabbed a pretty young American girl by the arm, and he was ushering her back into the jungle to our left. As he got halfway to the jungle, I said, "Duck!" And all of the people who were rounded up around me, they all ducked, and I bang, bang, bang! I shot the 3 guerrillas. I dispatched the 3 guerrillas that were holding us captive. And that only left the one who had running into the woods, the forest, or the jungle. Yes, jungle. And so I raised my weapon. Remember, I was blind, you remember? And this little young boy, Jorge, he said, "PepPep, you're blind, man. What are you going to do? You might hit the girl." And I looked at Jorge, who was down here at my right. Or at least I looked in his direction. And I said, "Jorge, I do not shoot from my eyes. I do not shoot from my hand. I shoot with my heart." And at that moment, I let the bullet fly. And little Jorge looked, and he followed the trajectory of that bullet. And right as that gorilla was about to enter the jungle, the bullet caught him right in the back of the head. And the young American girl was saved. As you can imagine, everybody at the resort and everybody who came from the surrounding villages, they all started chanting my name. Pep, 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 pep. Oh, it was surely a sight. I wish I had a video camera then. But nevertheless, that night, they decided to throw me a big bash. Celebratory get-together. And it was quite entertaining and delicious. We were dancing and singing and having pulled pork sandwiches and pineapple on the fire and some other stuff. And it was all very delicious. And of course, there was plenty of adult beverages going around too, you see. In fact, I may have imbibed just a little bit too much at that night, because everybody was, buying me drinks and people were coming over to me and slapping me on the back and saying, "PepPep, you're the man. What would we have done without you, PepPep? PepPep?" And I said, "Well, you'd probably all be dead. It wasn't for me, so thank you very much." And through the night, I was drinking heavily and laughing and joking, and we were having a grand old time. But then it turned late, and I said, "My friends, we are departing here tomorrow, so I must go get some sleep. I'm very drunk." So Nebuchadnezzar guided me back to a room, and I fell on the bed. Later that night, Nebuchadnezzar came over to me and said, "PepPep, you must drink some water. You're dehydrated because of all the booze." And I said, and I was still hazy in the head, and I said, "Okay, Nebuchadnezzar." And so he gave me like 5 glasses of water. And after the 5th glass, as my head was beginning to clear, I said, "Nebuchadnezzar, where did you get this water?" And he said, well, I got it from the tap, of course. And I stood up bolt right, and I said, Nebuchadnezzar, don't you know you're not supposed to drink Mexican water? Oh, dear. And right then I started feeling the rumblings in my belly. And he chuckled, you see. I knew it was going to be bad. So here I was, stricken with a case of Montezuma's revenge. Well, I dare say I had explosive diarrhea all the rest of that night. And unfortunately for the passengers on my plane, I had it all during our flight. And I got it, I still had it even when I got home. It took several days for me to get over it. In fact, my doctor told me I was more than likely going to die from it. I was going so much. But I wouldn't let that get me down, and so I persevered. About a few weeks later, I finally started getting control of my bowels once again. But I was being tortured by a new malady. You see, I was having explosive diarrhea so much that I developed a terrible case of hemorrhoids. It was very itchy. I couldn't sit down for more than about 2 minutes. I had to get up, go sit in a hot bath. So I told Nebuchadnezzar, you know, Nebuchadnezzar, during my blind spells, I need you to administer my Preparation H. And so he did, begrudgingly, of course. And then it was a couple of days later, and I still had the hemorrhoids. I said, Nebuchadnezzar, are you applying that Preparation H appropriately? And he said he assured me that he was. And a few hours later, after I awoke from a nap, my eyesight was back. So I knew I had 2 hours to get to the bottom of this before I lost my eyesight again. So I went to the medicine cabinet and I pulled it open. And much to my surprise, the Preparation H container was never opened. But I glanced a little closer, and I discovered right next to the Preparation H was a tiny bottle of mayonnaise. You see, Nebuchadnezzar was treating my hemorrhoids with mayonnaise. I guess that explained why my farts smelled of egg salad. So, after I discovered that, I kicked him off my treatment. I said, Nebuchadnezzar, get away. You're not doing my administrations any longer. And thus, I started doing them myself. And within a couple of days, I was right as rain again. No more diarrhea, no more hemorrhoids. I was back to my usual constitutionals. And so, there you have it. That's the story of why I was missing from YouTube for the last couple of weeks. Prior to last week, of course. So I hope you enjoyed this story. Please come back next weekend. I'll have another story for you here at PepPep's World. And if you liked this story, please take a second and hit the thumbs up button below. And if you want to keep up with everything that I do, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have a case of Montezuma's revenge that you want to share with me, please leave it in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond. So that's what I have for you. Until next time, have a good day and a lovely weekend.